So, Greenland. It's the world's biggest island, and it recently popped into the news for a reason you just don't hear every day. A world leader wanted to buy it. But this isn't some weird real estate story. Nope, this is really a story about identity, about history, and the entire future of the Arctic.
Right? When former President Trump brought up his interest in buying Greenland, a lot of people just laughed it off. But it actually kicked off a really serious conversation. What is it about this huge, icy place that makes it such a geopolitical prize? Well, to get that, we first have to understand what Greenland is, and just as important, what it is.
And the answer from Greenland's own prime minister was completely clear, totally firm. This wasn't some business deal he was countering. It was a powerful statement about national identity. That one sentence just cuts right to the heart of it all. Greenland is a nation. It has its own people, its own future, and it is absolutely not a piece of property.
Okay, so let's get past the bizarre headlines. To really understand Greenland, we have to stop seeing it as some object to be bought and sold, and instead see it for what it is, a society with its own unique history, its own culture, and its own dreams for the future.
And just think about the scale for a second. We're talking about a whole nation of only 56,000 people. The vast majority, they're Inuit. This isn't just some empty patch of ice. It's a self-governing country, a homeland. You've got a population about the size of a small city, but spread out across this absolutely massive island.
To get what modern Greenland is all about, you really have to wrap your head around these two powerful ideas that are just completely woven together. On one side, you have these incredibly deep Aboriginal roots, the Inuit language, this profound connection to nature, traditional hunting. But on the other side, you've got this huge push towards modernity, building a democratic nation-state, a modern welfare society, and getting involved on the world stage. Now, these aren't opposites fighting each other. They're the two pillars of the nation that Greenland is busy building right now.
And this right here is a perfect example of how they're doing it. This is the logo for the University of Greenland. If you look closely, you can see the traditional kayak and the bigger umiak boat, these powerful symbols of Inuit heritage sitting right at the heart of a modern university. It's just the perfect visual for that blend of Aboriginal roots and modern aspirations.
So how did Greenland even get to this point? Well, its current status and its, fierce sense of independence, they're the direct result of a really long and complicated history with Denmark.
You can really see the journey laid out on this timeline. It all kicks off with Danish colonization way back in 1721. Then you see a huge shift in 1953, when it officially stops being a colony and becomes a province of Denmark. But that wasn't the end of the story. The push for more autonomy led to Home Rule in 1979, and then the really critical Self-Government Act of 2009, which we are definitely going to come back.
But check out this paradox, because this is so key to understanding the Greenlandic mindset. The very moment that Greenland was supposed to have gained formal equality as a Danish province, that's the moment many people there felt the most colonized. This super fast, top-down modernization plan, all dictated from Copenhagen, it just created this deep sense of injustice and feeling of foreign control.
And this quote from the politician Goldborg Chemnitz just perfectly captures the psychology of that time. It wasn't simple oppression. It was this really complicated, ingrained feeling of being less than, this mix of admiration and fear. And that mix is what really fueled the big push for self-determination, the desire to become, as one source put it, citizens with equal rights while remaining culturally distinct.
Okay, so now we get the Greenlandic perspective. Let's circle back to our original question. Why is everyone so interested in this place? The answer is a mix of geography, geology, and geopolitics. Greenland is, without a doubt, the Arctic's #1 strategic prize.
Its location is absolutely critical. It sits right in the middle of a rapidly changing Arctic. It's home to the U.S. Patuxent Space Base, which is vital for missile early warning. And as the Arctic ice melts, new global shipping routes are going to open up right past its shores. And on top of all that, it's a key part of what's called the GI-UK gap, a vital choke point for keeping an eye on Navy ships in the North Atlantic.
And then there's this number. Just let this sink in. The Greenland ice sheet holds roughly 20% of all the fresh water on planet Earth. In a world that's facing more and more water shortages, the potential value of that resource alone is just almost impossible to imagine.
Yeah, Greenland is literally a treasure chest. It's got massive deposits of rare earth elements, the stuff you need for everything from electric car batteries to high-tech military gear. There's huge potential for oil and gas. Its fisheries are already the backbone of its economy. And as that ice recedes, all of this stuff becomes way more accessible. And believe me, the world is paying attention.
So all of this brings us to the central problem facing Greenland today. How does a nation of 56,000 people handle these immense global pressures while trying to stay on its own path toward full independence? It's a really high-stakes game of sovereignty.
This is the deal right now. Greenland is part of this thing called the Community of the Realm. Basically, it means Greenland handles most of its own internal stuff, but Copenhagen, Denmark, still gets the final say on foreign policy, defense, and security. So it's a lot of autonomy for sure, but it's not full sovereignty. Not yet.
And here it is. This is the core challenge. The vast majority of Greenlanders want to be fully independent one day. But the nation's budget depends heavily on an annual payment from Denmark that's worth about €500 million. So how do you declare full independence when you're relying on another country to help pay the bills? That's the paradox right at the heart of Greenland's future.
So what you have is Greenland's leadership in this constant juggling act. They're pushing for more legal control over their own affairs, while at the same time, they're desperately trying to build up their economy so they can replace that Danish money. And through it all, they're fighting like hell to preserve the unique Inuit culture and language that really defines who they are as a nation.
And this brings us right back to where we started, because that 2009 Self-Government Act, under both Danish and international law, is crystal clear. The people of Greenland have the right to self-determination. That's the ultimate trump card. Greenland can't be bought. It can't be sold. Its future can only be decided by its own people, period.
So we're left with this question. As the ice melts and the great powers of the world, the US, Russia, China, all turn their eyes northward, can this small but determined nation actually forge its own path? Can it use its incredible resources and strategic location to win full independence without losing its soul in the process? The story of Greenland, well, it's far from over.